do we have with us right now?
Looks like we have 11 total at the
Okay.
moment.
Okay.
So,
great.
I mean, like I said, we had about 40, 45 registered. So I think we'll have a few more trickle in.
Okay. Great. Well, yes, thank you guys so much for joining us. I am Susie Hostley. I am the Frankfurt Area Chamber, the interim chamber president, CEO. And just give you a quick overview, we have a young professional network. It's a program under our chamber with the sponsor. We want to thank our sponsor, CCU, helped sponsor this YP program with the Frankfurt Chamber. Our three focus for this group is social networking, professional development, and community outreach. So we like to have, lots of networking opportunities and any sort of professional development. So this virtual event kind of helped do both of those things. If you're ever interested, one of the things we've been wanting to do is more regional stuff. There's lots of regional YP groups. I know Commerce Lexington has one. There's several, I think, from here to Louisville. So we're trying to do more regional networking events. So this is our first one. So thank you all for joining in today. And before I introduce Mike, Jordan, she's again with CCE, our sponsor. Did you have any remarks you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say it is such an honor to be able to work with Susie in the chamber as well as Awesome Inc. We had a great conversation with Mike as far as getting together what we wanted to do for this professional development opportunity. And I think we're going to learn a lot from what you have to say today. So I'm really excited about this opportunity and can't wait to hear more.
Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, anytime I talk with Liz and Mike, I get just like a new energy of like creative energy and that entrepreneur spirit. You guys are awesome. And I really appreciate you partnering with us to do this event tonight. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Mike Hilton, the Director of Venture Labs. And Mike, if you want to take us away.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for the high praise. If you're walking away inspired, we're winning. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So I'm Mike. I am the director of the Venture Labs program at Awesome Inc. I'm joined here by my friend and teammate, Liz Brown Evans. First of all, thanks to the Frankfurt Area YP Group. Thanks to Commonwealth Credit Union for helping pull this together. Also, thanks to some of the other regional groups like the Emerging Leaders of the Bluegrass out of Commerce Lexington, the Rotaract Group, also the Young Leaders Society out of United Way, all that helped pull this together today. So really appreciate that. Second, thank you to all of you that are on the call. We know that your time is valuable. We will do our best to be quick, be efficient, be effective, and go at a good pace that doesn't take up a ton of time, but that also helps you move yourself forward and the ability to have an impact on a company. And before I move forward, I'm going to riff for just a second. We geek out on this stuff. What we're talking about today is how to keep a company innovative. But for Liz and I, and for Venture Labs and for Awesome Inc. in general, we wholeheartedly believe we are raising the innovative tide in this region. We are making the region and the state, one company at a time, more innovative. And we're doing that not idea heard. What that naturally means that you've signed up for this is that you either want to have ideas that are innovative and think differently and have a bigger impact on your company, or you're already got them written down somewhere or just parked in the back of your mind and you can't seem to escape them. Maybe you're the type of person that is watching Simon Sinek videos on TED Talks, or maybe you're listening to How I Built This, or watching The Profit, or watching Shark Tank. But you're sitting in the corporate world, you just get inspired by entrepreneurial thought and inspired by people who create new cool things. If that's you, we're your people. And Liz and I and the whole Venture Labs team sees it as our job to feed you, to inspire you, to give you the tools that are going to help you have that bigger impact at your company. So I'm going to break every webinar rule in the book and go ahead and give you the punchline. At the end of this thing, I'm going to tell you to go to our website, awesomeinc.org/venturelabs, and sign up for our newsletter. We're going to use that newsletter to regularly, again, deliver you the content and the inspiration and the tools that are going to help you have a bigger, better impact on your company. Because when you do, that collective energy raises the innovative tide of this region and makes this region even more so a place where any idea can come to life. So any friends that sound like that description that I said, go ahead and push the newsletter to them too. We're your people. Come be part of this thing. All right, I'm done riffing. So quickly take a look at what we're going to do today. We'll quickly talk about who Venture Labs is because it's important to know who's talking to you. We'll talk about where ideas come from. We'll talk about what not to do, what to do instead, the next steps to do once you have the idea and you've taken some of those early concepts. And then we'll have a discussion. It's not lost on us that there's a lot of value in peer-to-peer collaboration. And we absolutely don't believe that we have all the right answers. So if at any point during this conversation you have a question, go ahead and send that either publicly or privately in the chat. If you send it privately, send it to Liz. And we will use that to have a discussion. And that discussion will largely be gathering feedback and thoughts and opinions from your peers on this call. And if you want to do it anonymously, again, just send it straight to Liz. You've got a good opportunity to get some peer-to-peer feedback here. Okay. Very quickly, who's Venture Labs? To know Venture Labs, it really helps to know who Awesome Inc. is. Awesome Inc. has been a huge driver of the startup ecosystem throughout this state. Awesome Inc. exists to help people bring their ideas to life. And so for the last 11 years, Awesome Inc. has had a lot of programs that allow people to do that. There's a co-working space in downtown Lexington. There's a one-year fellowship for companies just getting off the ground. We teach people how to code, and you might know us from our pitch competition called 5 Across that we do every other month. It's kind of like Shark Tank for Central Kentucky, but it's got a pep rally wrapped around it. It's a really fun night that happens every other month. But for the last 10 years, if you weren't an entrepreneur or weren't in the startup community, you really didn't need to know or have a way to connect with everything that's going on with Awesome Inc. and the startup community until now. So Venture Labs creates ways for the corporate world to plug into that startup ecosystem and leverage those resources to stay innovative. The corporate world and the startup world complement one another very well. Corporates have people and process and budget and structure, but at times can move slow. Startups and entrepreneurs, on the other hand, have none of those things, but they're nimble and they're fast and they can get through a bunch of ideas really quickly, find the right ones, and get traction with them. Venture Labs sits in the middle. Venture Labs is the glue, it's the bridge that allows the corporate world to plug into that entire mindset, that startup mindset, that entrepreneurial thought, to stay innovative, but to do so in a way that doesn't blow up day-to-day operations of the organization. So we are the glue that's helping raise that innovative tide. And we'll get more into a few examples down the road. Okay, before we can talk about what to do with an idea, let's talk about where an idea comes from first. So if you want to find the right idea, and don't get me wrong, you may be sitting there with your own idea right now that you've been sitting on for a long time, or you may have a scratch pad or a Google Doc that you just plug something in whenever you come up with a new idea. But if you want to find a new idea, start with your customer journey. So what we're going to do really quick, we'll get hands-on, whether you've got scratch paper in front of you or you want to open an email to yourself or a Google Doc. you're going to write down your customer journey. And I'll give you a little guidance. I want you to write down, take a minute or so, write down every step a customer takes to interact with your company or product. Every step a customer takes to interact with your company or product. And for what it's worth, some of you may sit in an internally facing chair. Like if you're on the HR team, your customer may be your fellow employees because you come to work every day to serve them. So internal or external, think of who your customer is and write down every step they take to interact with your company. I'm going to put on a little music. Take maybe another 15 seconds. All right. So obviously you probably don't have a comprehensive list in front of you, but the goal there was just to give you an idea. Usually that exercise, it takes a good 10, 15 minutes to really think through every step from start to finish of your customer interacting with you or your role or your company. And before we go any further, it's important to have the right understanding of a customer journey. If you really want to find the next great idea that could either, whether it's an incremental improvement for your company or a breakout idea, it's important to have the right view of the customer journey. Most people, when they start thinking about a customer journey, think about, they start the journey when a customer first connects with them, and they end it with when the customer's done connecting with them. That's too narrow a view. And companies that don't stay innovative, that lack that innovation, they have too narrow a view of the customer journey. Your customer's journey begins the minute that they have a problem. So let's use an example. Grocery stores. Okay, we all shop at grocery stores or have in the past at some point. For about 20 years ago, when you shopped at a grocery store, you pulled in the parking lot, you went inside, you got your cart, you filled it with groceries, you went to the checkout line, paid for your groceries, carried them out, put them in your car, put the cart back, and drove out of the parking lot. And for the longest time, groceries believed that was their customer's journey. It started when they pulled in the parking lot, and it ended when they left the parking lot. And groceries, to their credit, came up with some innovations, some new ideas within that space. They came up with self-checkouts. Eventually, click list got added. They even let you carry a scanner around and go ahead and pre-scan all of your groceries as they come in the cart. But a grocery store's customer the journey doesn't begin when they pull in the parking lot. The journey usually begins with that customer standing in the kitchen saying, I need food. And I've always found it interesting that when you walk into Kroger, they have ready-made meal kits. You buy everything in one box that you need to make some kind of nice dinner that night. Yet grocery stores missed the mail order dinner kit industry. Did you ever wonder why Kroger didn't come up with Blue Apron or HelloFresh or some of those other mail order dinner kit services? They had everything that they needed, even the product already packaged in the store. And they missed it because it was too narrow a view of your customer journey. So very quickly, look back down at your list that you just wrote or wherever you typed it and ask yourself, what steps does my customer take before the first step that I wrote? What steps do they take after the last step that I wrote? And I encourage you, after we're done today, to give yourself a little bit more time to reflect on this. And once you get that comprehensive list in front of you, that comprehensive customer journey, think again, look at the list again and say, where are the gaps? Where are the pain points? Where are the adjacencies? How else could I use these resources to create some parallel line of business? When you do that, you are coming up with problems to solve, and find as many problems to solve in there as you can. Every problem to solve equals an opportunity to innovate or equals an opportunity for a new idea. That's where you're going to find it. And let's go ahead and say, I'm not saying good ideas and I'm not saying bad ideas. At Venture Labs, we wholeheartedly believe, because we've seen it over and over again, you have no idea if the idea you're sitting on is a good one or a bad one until you take a few more steps. We're firm believers in getting everything on the legal pad, getting everything on the paper in front of you before you start removing things. Get it all out there on the paper. Okay, so now that you've got your idea, and I'm not saying you have to have one now. In a minute, I'm going to ask you to pick one to exercise some muscles, but you don't need it just yet. But now that you've got it, let's talk about what not to do. In this world, in the corporate innovation world, we talk a lot about the idea dump. The idea dump is the absolute last thing that you want to do. And it sounds like this. You walk into your boss's office and you say, hey, boss, last night I had a great idea. We should do X. Tell me what you want to do about it. And then you leave the office. I've had people report to me in the past. I've had that happen. If you've ever had people report to you, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, we should do X. Let me know what you want to do about it. The person leaves the office. Oh, boss can't do anything with that. Boss has a mountain of stuff on their desk. They've got a backlog of emails, and they have to spend all of their time trying to figure out how to drive the company metrics forward, how to drive the company strategy forward. And I'll be blunt. If you don't care enough about your idea to do anything with it before you hand it off, the boss shouldn't care about anything, about any idea that you don't care enough to move forward. So you should never, ever, ever take the first iteration of your idea to senior management. Under no circumstances. You've got some homework to do first before that idea has the ability to impact your company. So let's talk about what to do. This is where thinking like an entrepreneur comes into play. Okay, the mindset of an entrepreneur is built around a very simple formula. You build, you measure, and you learn. You come up with an idea, you test it, you learn from it, you rebuild it, you test it, you learn from it, you rebuild it, you test it, you learn from it, you rebuild it. You get through that iterative cycle as many times as you possibly can. And when you do, two things are occurring. First of all, you're learning. You're taking that rough mold of an idea and you're chipping away and you're refining it and you're sanding a little bit here and you're chipping off here and you're reframing and you're reforming. But what you're also doing is you're building your data, you're building your justification for why that idea is a good one. So now let's go back to the list, the customer journey that you wrote down a minute ago, or pull any idea that you've got for your company. Again, it doesn't have to be something you're super passionate about. Come up with any idea that you've got for your company. We're going to exercise some muscles. Ask yourself, as you think about that idea, ask yourself what assumptions have to be true for that idea to be successful. Are you assuming that your customers are going to behave a certain way? Are you assuming that people are going to make some change that you're asking them to make? Are you assuming that there's going to be some kind of an open mind, or people will interact with your content differently, or people will continue to do a certain behavior or will stop doing a certain behavior just because you tell them to. What assumptions are you making? And for every assumption that you list, find the easiest way to test it and then learn from it. What you're trying to do is to prove or disprove every assumption you make. Run it, come up with a hypothesis, run a test, learn from it, and see what you need to change. And this is where entrepreneurs are really experts. Entrepreneurs are phenomenal at taking an idea, testing it, testing it, iterating, all the way until they kill it. And every successful entrepreneur that's out there simply had an idea that they kept trying to test and never died. So as soon as you start this iterative process, let's be really honest with ourselves. You have got to start separating yourself from the idea. Because if the data says kill it, you got to kill it and you got to move on. That's how entrepreneurs, especially serial entrepreneurs, stay successful. They iterate ideas until they can't iterate anymore, and until it's time to hand it off to someone else or build a team around it, or until it needs to be killed. Couple of examples, couple of things to think through here. First of all, you have two phenomenal tools at your fingertips. I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care who your customer is. Two phenomenal tools. First one, it's a personal favorite. I use Google Forms all the time. Anytime I need to test something, I think about who my audience is that I think is going to buy whatever I'm trying to sell them or whatever I'm trying to get them bought into. I build a simple 5-question Google form around it. I find a few people in that audience who are going to answer my form. And then the more forms I get filled out, the more quantified data I have right in front of me that I can't argue with if I build the form right way to whether I need to move forward, adapt, or kill something. Second, your key customers, your best customers are your best friends in this. If somebody's already investing a lot of time and money in your company, in most cases, they're going to love a phone call from you to say, hey, I have this idea. If you were in X situation, what would you do? Or would you be interested if our company tried to do Y? That customer is going to love to brainstorm with you. So your key customers are great sounding boards because they're naturally already invested in your long-term success. Couple of examples here. One that I love is Netflix. Netflix, it's a little bit interesting to see, and they're a great evolutionary story. But Netflix is part of their business model is creating a piece of content, and they don't put a ton of budget around it. They will create a piece of content, usually just either a small mini series or one series of something that doesn't have a lot of well-known actors, doesn't have a great storyline, doesn't have a ton of time invested in it, and they put it out there just to see what works. And if something works, they invest more budget in it. And if something doesn't work, they kill it, right? You can find tons of seasons of things in Netflix that only have one season, but the things that work become Stranger Things, right? They see, oh, we hit a nerve. We're going to build on this. We're going to double down on this. We're going to invest in this. So iterate, iterate, iterate. And you can iterate things much further than you think you'll be able to. Okay, now let's say you've iterated and you've moved things down the path and you have failed a bunch and you've got some cool ideas and things are working. And now you've got a little bit of a mold that's data backed and you've refined your idea and it's time to share it, right? It's time to move it forward in the organization. You have to check a few boxes before you can move your idea forward. If you can't check these boxes, you're not ready to go forward. It's that simple. It's that cut and dry. You've had your idea, you've refined it, you've gathered data, you've continued to refine it. But if you can't check these boxes, you got work to do still. First, you have to be able to say how your idea moves the company's strategy forward. You have to know what the company's strategy is and how your idea connects to it. Because if your idea can't connect to company strategy, the company by nature shouldn't care about it. Maybe it's still a great idea. Maybe it's still some new opportunity that you can run with. But if it can't connect to company strategy, the company doesn't care. Second, what's the potential impact to the company? This doesn't have to be a hard and fast number. It doesn't even have to be a crystal clear plan, but you have to be able to articulate in some way what the potential impact of the company is going to be. Next, what's the next step in testing? How's the company going to move forward? What's the next iteration? Who needs to be involved? You have to be able to tell your boss all of those things in a very short and sweet way. And if you can't do it, you're not ready to move forward. So let's go back to the idea dump, right? Idea dump looked like this. Hey boss, last night I had an idea. Our company should do X. Let me know what we should do about it. And then you leave. The right answer instead is, hey boss, a couple of weeks ago, I thought we should do X. So I did this and I did this and I did this. And here's what I learned. It turns out we should actually do Y. Here's how it aligns with the company. Here's the next step. Here's the potential impact. Can I go take the next step? As a manager, my reaction is totally different to that. As a manager, first of all, you're telling me, oh, this person cares enough to think about creative ways to move my company forward. Second of all, there's a likelihood that this thing's going to move forward because they've got data. Third, this person's going to make me look like a hero, right? Not every manager is going to react that way, but largely what we see is companies with innovative cultures. If someone shows themselves to have that skill set, that person's going to go really far and be a really special change maker. Okay. Quick review. First of all, don't dump ideas on your boss's desk. Second, find the ideas on the customer journey, iterate them as far as you can to gather data, determine next steps, company impact, and alignment with the company goals and culture. And then finally, pitch it to your decision maker when it's ready. Let's talk about an example of how we've seen this come to life. So just for context, Venture Labs does a lot of things. We have companies sometimes bring us in for a single day just to sort of spark that innovation and empower people, teach them to think, act, and work like entrepreneurs. We also have 6-month or even ongoing engagements where we're building whole infrastructures at companies. For the Legends in 2019, we ran the one-day workshop where at the beginning of the day, we taught people how to think, act, and work like entrepreneurs. And then ideas go on post-it notes go on walls, cross-functional teams get built around them. And at the end of the day, those employees run a pitch competition where they're pitching their ideas back to senior management. This example from the Legends shows everything that we just walked through. The winning idea for the day came from a guy who'd been doing ticket sales for 1 year and the introverted controller who at the beginning of the day admitted she didn't want to be there and she loved us by the end of it. And the idea was this. All it said on the post-it note was, maybe people will pay to have concessions delivered to their chair. That was it. Very simple. Now, in the idea dump, sure, you could easily see that being an idea dump, but here's what happened instead. Those two people took the idea, looked at their assumptions, and they called season ticket holders to gauge interest and gauge what they thought they might pay. They called the food vendors to see what the process looked like, if the food vendors had any tools. They went down into the stadium to map out what it might look like. They went ahead and found the software that the Legends could purchase if it all proved successful. They figured out how they were going to test the whole thing for less than a couple $100 in the first few weeks of the season. And then they figured out what success needed to look like and what the potential impact of the company was going to be. So instead of idea dump, hey, maybe fans will pay to have food delivered to their chair, it was, here's the potential impact to the company. Here's how it aligns to company goals. Here's how we're going to test it for less than $200. If it's successful, here's our next step. We're going to go get this software that'll help make it an even better experience on the fans. Can we please have a couple $100 to go test this? That's a no-brainer. Okay, and that's just one example. And we have seen examples like that in the financial services world, in the industrial world, in the construction world, in the nonprofit world, across the board. If your company's people are thinking, acting, and working like entrepreneurs in their day-to-day job, they're going to be better able to solve problems with creative thought as they arise, and that's what keeps your company innovative. Okay, next steps. Again, I stole my own punchline at the beginning of this thing. If you go to awesomeinc.org/venture labs, you sign up for the newsletter there. We're going to feed you more content like this, more inspiration. We're going to help you get inspired and plug into and feed off of this startup world to keep your company innovative. Okay, that was a lot. I talked really fast. So, Liz, I'll let you tell us what the right first question is that has come up in the conversation.
Sure. So if someone has sent me a question, maybe try resending it because it didn't come. But I'm curious, Mike, and I think a question that Mike and I get a lot, so I'll go ahead and start it off, is how do you maybe find your people at your company to like come alongside you as you are trying to be more creative or trying to be more innovative?
Yeah.
How do you not feel like you're alone?
So, Liz, you tell me, are we able to unmute folks and turn this more into kind of a roundtable discussion?
Yep, absolutely.
Let's do that. So, does anyone on the call have experience finding your people? And I'll go ahead and give context that what we see is you signed up for this because you're already a naturally creative thinker. How do you find your other creative thinkers that are willing to run free a little bit? Anybody have experience with that?
For me, it's kind of hard in my realm of work because
Mhm.
we were a staff of 3. We're now currently a staff of 2, but we have a large board that we work with. And so it's kind of hard sometimes finding that, I guess, connecting them in with what we're doing, or finding that, creative person to get them in, because they're not here every day. They don't see the day to day. They're more so, when we have our meetings and we do our updates. So it's hard to figure out how to reach some people when you don't see them daily.
You bring up a good point, Susie, where your people don't always have to be internal, right? Nearly every business that's out there has some form of partnership, whether it's
True.
an external stakeholder or
Point.
whether it's an actual formal partnership in a marketplace or in an industry. And yeah, I've been in experiences in the past where your people could be outside, right? At one point in my career, I ran an association, right? And we had about 50,000 members in the association, and I had my people, right? I had my customers that once I got to know how they thought, if I had a crazy idea that I wanted to run past, that's an easy phone call. Even though it's external, you start to find through that relationship who your brainstorming partners are, who the people are going to be a good sounding board for you, and finding those people, at least you feed off of one another to create new things, because that's what we're talking about here. It's just creating new, and you can create new with anyone, whether they're internal or external. Good question. What else?
I know in our organization that we use the Teams app. Obviously, a lot of people are virtual right now. And so I know we've got a mix of different people. Some would love to hop on a phone. I'm one of those people, I can talk it out. But then you have those that are like, just send me a message. So
Right.
you have both of those avenues to where you can just kind of go back and forth. And we generally have like our whole team on there, both marketing and community relations. And so everybody can kind of jump in and share their input.
Mhm. That's a great thought. Yeah. What else? Anything? Okay. Liz, anything else come in?
Nope, not in the chat box.
Cool. Got it. Well, if anyone is sitting on something and they want to think out loud, Liz and I will talk about this stuff ad nauseum. Again, we geek out on this, and we very much see that starting to pull some of these levers, will just simply raise the innovative tide in this region. And Susie, I'm seeing from you that maybe a quick introduction of folks would be a good thing, especially since I think we just saved a little bit of time. So I think you may know a few of the folks on the call. How would you feel about guiding that introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's quite a few on here I don't know. That's why I wanted to do it. I just thought it'd be a really good opportunity because I want to get some a little bit of a network out of this where we could see who's been
Great.
in on the. So if we could real quick, if each of you could show video of yourself, and we could do a quick kind of round robin introduction and just tell us who you are and where you're from, who you represent. That would be great. I'll start again. I'm Susie Hossley with the Frankfurt Area Chamber, and then and Jordan, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Jordan Cohen with Commonwealth Credit Union.
And what's my names? I see a smiley face on the left corner. I don't see a name. Oh, you're muted.
No.
Oh, hear you now. There you go.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yeah.
No one ever tells me they can't hear me, so you guys are already my favorites. I'm Jenny Olmstead, and I work with Dr. Black's Eye Associates out of Frankfurt, Dr. Ada Sanchez, who's also on the call.
Great. Hey, Jenny, good to see you.
We're rookies at your chamber, so we're just plugging in everywhere we can.
Awesome. Kim?
Hi, I'm Kim Durham with Commonwealth Credit Union. So I'm on the operations side. So it's kind of the first time for me on this. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining, Kim. Jared?
I'm Jared Sieberkrab with Commonwealth Credit Union. I work with Jordan in community relations.
Okay, thank you, Jared. Hannah?
Hi, I'm the communications coordinator at OWL, Opportunity for Work and Learning. Dallas is also with OWL. We just went through strategic planning, so this is like right up our alley right now.
That's awesome.
That is great. Is David Bogg? He used to be with Al, right?
He did. He got sick last January and
Okay.
he retired in June. And Tony Higgins is the CEO now.
Oh, okay, great.
And he hasn't had a chance to go out and meet anybody because, COVID.
Right, COVID, right. Dallas?
Hi, I'm the partner development with OWL, as Hannah mentioned, and so we're here in Lexington, and we are actually in process of expanding some of our programs and services, and so this is a pretty cool thing to be a part of today, so I appreciate the invite.
Great.
Yeah, thanks, Dallas. Ada, Dr. Sanchez?
Hi, I'm with Dr. Black's Eye Associates in Frankfurt.
Thank you. Chandler?
Hey, so I'm sounding like I'm the only one from Lexington, maybe. I'm with Valvoline, and I'm in consumer engagement for our instant oil change business. So basically, marketing funnel, the activation bottom tier of the funnel.
Okay, great, thank you. Have we done Danielle?
Hi, I'm Danielle from Commonwealth Credit Union, also in Lexington, so I'm with you, Chandler.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. And then I'm seeing a Daniel's iPhone.
Yeah, hey, this is Daniel's iPhone. I'm in the car, so I'm trying not to have too much going on, but I'm also with Commonwealth Credit Union and I work in sales.
Okay, great. Well, thank you guys so much. I just wanted to do that quick introduction. I'll give it back to you guys, Mike and Liz.
We appreciate it, and that's everything that we had prepped for tonight. So pretty quick and easy. We just want to say we appreciate you all taking the time. If anybody wants to kick around ideas or carry this forward more one-on-one, feel free to reach out. We're happy to take any phone call. And if you've got suggestions of the kind of content that we should be pushing to make your lives easier, feel free to shoot us an email. We'd love to hear that too.
Could you get rid of COVID?
Yes.
Man, I miss hugging people. So I would love to get rid of COVID.
Innovative, but not quite that innovative.
Do you guys offer any sort of like strategic planning services?
What we find is that our conversation usually comes the very next step after strategic planning. So the organizations that we work with, especially on the larger scale, so we've got one 6-month engagement that we're kicking off in 21 that is pretty special. And the organization did strategic planning, came up with the strategic goals for the next 5 years for the company. And then we helped them implement what we look at as a breakout innovation funnel, where at the beginning of the process, we're teaching everyone to think like an entrepreneur. And then as new ideas come up, they get funneled into the middle of a central decision-making point. That decision-making point is going to come up with, identify the 4 to 5 ideas that have the biggest opportunity to break those strategic goals. The biggest opportunity to just blow them out of the water, create some new revenue stream or some new market. And then those ideas will be incubated with a team over 3 months on a once every other week basis. And so at the end of the 6 months, the senior management will hear 4 to 5 startups that got baked up that relate directly to those strategic goals. So we tend to work really well with organizations right after they come up with that strategic plan to help them figure out and get all the right ideas onto the table and sift through them very quickly. Great question.
Great.
But if you're at that stage where you need strategic planning, we know the right organizations. There's a couple in the region that are just outstanding at it, and we're happy to make those connections if you'd like.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Everybody, thank you for taking the time. We know that your time is valuable and we appreciate you very much. Stay innovative, okay?
Great. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Appreciate it, Mike and Liz.
Absolutely.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.